Hey guys, this is Gal. So I'm going to do another little product review just for fun, and I'm going to be going over my thoughts on the Harlequin Codex. Now I picked this up when it first came out. I've read it a couple times. Played my first game using the Harlequins today, which I did in a battle report, which I'll be posting later today as well. And I just kind of want to go over just a little bit about the Codex itself. Now first off, the quality of the book is extremely high, like all their codexes have been lately. The artwork in here is beautiful. The quality of the book, the colors, the pages, the binding, it's all top notch. Let's see if I can zoom out a little bit more. Alright. I got nothing but positive things to say about the book itself. Now the rules, that's a slightly different matter. I'm going to flip forward a little bit. Hope I don't make anybody dizzy. Alright, so you have very few units in this army list. First you have is your standard troops. Now I don't want to go too much into rules because I don't want GW knocking on my door. But for about the cost of a Space Marine, you get a basic guy with toughness 3, strength 3, 2 attacks. He has a nice assortment of special rules, including 5+ invulnerable saves, shuriken pistols, close combat weapons, assault grenades. They also have fear, fleet, furious charge, hit and run, all pretty decent. But at 15 points, I feel they just don't carry that 15 points, even with all these fancy rolls, because fear rarely comes into play nowadays. Almost everybody's got some way of being fearless, or and they shall know no fear, or leadership 10, or some shenanigans to prevent them from having issues with that. Hit and run's great and all if you can survive long enough to use it. And with these guys having toughness 3 and only a 5+ save, it just doesn't feel very survivable to me. Now, weapon-wise, they have some great options. They have the Harlequin Kiss, which is pretty much, if they hit, it'll strength 6 AP2 1 attack that has instant death on a roll of a 6. You know, it's for a reasonable amount of points, but it's not bad. Put it on your champion, go for that challenge, assassination on your opponent's champion. I could see a definite use there. The other two options, one gives strength 6 hammer wrath hits for the unit, which is very effective if you get the charge. Or the other one, every 6 to hit in close combat makes that attack strength 6 AP2, and that one I find extremely useful. That's what I've equipped my one squad of Harlequins with. I only really got one assault with these guys on this game, as you'll see, and it was against Gretchen, so it really didn't matter a whole lot. But in theory, I could see this being useful. For instance, you are taking on an Imperial Knight or a Gorkanaut or a heavy walker that you've beaten up. It only has a couple hull points left. Every 6 to hit these guys not only is sorry, I said that wrong. With that crest, every 6 to hit is an automatic wound with AP2, not strength 6. It's an automatic wound. And on a vehicle, it's an automatic glancing hit. So all they need to do is get a 6 to hit to get a hull point off. And with 6 of these guys, with 2 close combat weapons and charging, you're looking at about 24 attacks, 25 including the Troop Master. So you're going to get some 6s in there. Just statistically speaking, you'll get about 4 hull points on the charge. Now you can't do that very well against open top vehicles, because I suspect these guys are going to go down pretty easily to Overwatch. But they definitely could put a paint on a Land Raider or an Imperial Knight or anything, but it's kind of a one-trick deal. So you got to make sure everything's set up right to use it. The next unit they get is in the Elite's Choices Death Jesters. Now they have a Shuriken Cannon, which can also give up its 3 shots for a single shot that if it kills, it does a blast template. Basically causes the guy they shot to explode. Also, if you do any wounds, they have to take a morale test -2, and if they fail, you choose the direction that they run. So like if they're running up a table edge, you can make them run off the table side rather than back towards their deployment zone. Could be useful. Or you can make them run closer to you to help set up the assault. Now all this is really nice, but at 60 points, it's pretty conditional. Especially with one other problem with the Codex, which I'll go over in a minute. Next thing is the Shadow Seer. Now, Shadow Seer, 60 points. Standard for a caster, can upgrade to level 2. Has the equivalent of a Powerball with Fleshbane. Psychomancy, I think is the name of their Psyker abilities. Which is, the powers are pretty cool. I don't know. I played one at the game. His psychic powers really didn't come into play. They weren't within range. And then he got killed in assault. Kind of my error on him, but I don't know. He does have telepathy, so he can have psychic shriek, which I think is awesome. And he has in a piece of war gear that can drop an opponent's leadership by 2. So you drop them in, drop their leadership by 2, have them take that leadership test on 3d6, and they lose the number of wounds equal to what they fell by. That has potential. I haven't tried it yet. But put him, or maybe even 2 of these guys, in a Venom or in a Starweaver, run around just witch firing people. Because since it is a witch fire, they can't fire out of the back of the open top transport. Alright, so he's got potential. I don't know. Next unit is the Solitaire. Now, the Solitaire, as far as I'm concerned, is an Eldar Assassin. He does good at this role. I played him in this game where he charged a huge unit of orcs, pulled out an enemy character, immediately assassinating him, but then he just was whittled down with the assaults before he could hit and run out. So, I don't know. His points, he's almost the equivalent of 3 land speeders. I don't know. He's good on the charge, but I just don't think he has the whole power to get his points worth. Next is their jet bikes, the Skyweavers. These are pretty much the same as normal Eldar jet bikes. They have the Jink. They only have a 4+ save, but they have a 5+ invulnerable save to back that up. They come with a shuriken cannon that they can replace with a Haywire blaster for slightly more. That's pretty nice. They also have a 1-use only blast template strength 6 AP2 attack, which is conditionally okay. I'm not crazy about blast templates on bikes because Jink is, so useful to them. But it's 1-use only. That could be replaced by a pretty much a spear, AP3 plus 2 strength melee weapon. And unlike normal Eldar bikes, these guys are actually 2 wounds each and 3 attacks, so 4 on the charge. Toughness 4, armor's 4, so they'll be instant killed to anything strength 8, but still, they have fear, furious charge, hit and run. So they're pretty cool. My biggest problem is each one of these guys is the cost of a land speeder. Literally. 100 points for just 2 of them. And you can get Eldar jet bikes now with the new book for 27 points that have that shuriken cannon on it. And a 3+ armor save. Yes, it only has 1 wound compared to the 2. But, I don't know. I don't feel that these guys are worth their points for what you're spending on them. But, that's me. Next, you have your Starweaver. Now, these I like. They're a cheap transport. Cost of a couple of rhinos. They're equipped with 2 shuriken cannons. They're fast skimmers. They have a model capacity of 6, so that's 1 better than the Venom, so you can actually put a minimum size squad and a character in one. Maybe even put a Death Jester in it, so that it actually will fire with 3 shuriken cannons each turn, which I think would be pretty cool. And I forgot to mention this on the bikes, but all of these bikes and vehicles have an ability to have a 1 turn only, a 4+ cover save without them having a Jink. They're called Mirage Launchers, and so for at least 1 turn you'll be protected, but still won't have to worry about snap firing. So that's kind of nice. They're open top, so you can get out an assault. You can throw some Banshees in there if you ally these into your basic Eldar. Like I said, they're equivalent of a Venom, just they don't have the poison, but it's give or take which one's better. They both have their goods and bads. Shuriken cannons are nothing to be scoffed at. So these I actually like. The next unit is the Void Weaver. In the battle report I played with him, he really wasn't all that effective. I gave him the upgraded weapon, which gives him actually a lot of mobility, I think, or a lot of versatility. It's either a large blast template at strength 3, a small blast template at strength 4, or a direct shot at strength 7. And the strength 7 shot is actually Lance. So it has some anti-armor capability. It also has a Shuriken cannon. And on the back, it's got a second Shuriken cannon that's kind of got a split fire roll. It can fire at a different unit than the tank. Problem is, it's on the back, so you have to be positioning yourself at some funny angles to be able to use all the weapons, but it is an option. These don't cost much more than the Star Weavers do, but they just feel kind of squishy for what you get with them. I mean, they're pretty decent anti-infantry, but considering these are your big heavy support choice, I just don't think they have the anti-armor punch. Their basic weapon is a haywire cannon, which is, good for hurting vehicles, but once again, it's only a blast haywire, so you're only going to knock one whole point off of what you're shooting at. So yeah, you're pretty much guaranteed a glance if you hit, but that's only one glance. So I don't know. I just think they could have done better with this choice. Now, using this army is my main concern with it. You have a force organization for this army that I feel is a little too restrictive. You have to have 3 troops, which is only one of the troop. You have to have at least 2 fast attack, which at least you have some play. You could take either bikes, or the transports can be about as fast attack. So if you don't want to use the expensive bikes, you can just buy transports for the troops, and that would take care of your minimum fast attack choice. In heavy support, you're only required to take 1 Star Reaver, so that doesn't set you back too many points either. Then you get your 7 Elites, which are broken up between your Death Jesters, your Shadow Seers, and your Solitaire. So it's kind of meant so that you could take 3 Death Jesters, 3 troops, 3 Shadow Seers, and 1 Solitaire, which is all well and good except for the fact that you can only fit 6 guys in each transport. So you could either put a Death Jester in each one or a Shadow Seer in each one, but you cannot, put a troop plus a Death Jester plus a Spirit Seer. So I think that's kind of a choice you got to make. But I don't know. It just seems a little too restrictive for how many points these things cost. The other way you can play these guys is with formations. Let me get to that page. So your first one is basically you got everything. You got 3 troops, 3 Death Jesters, 3 Shadow Seers, a Solitaire, 2 units of the bikes, and 1 unit of Void Reavers. You get some nice bonuses, but I don't think they come up to with what you get for the points you're spending. You can reroll invulnerable saves of 1, which is handy. But considering you only have a 5+ invulnerable save, I think considering the amount of points you're spending, you should be able to reroll the whole damn invulnerable save. You get to reroll your Warlord trait. You do that thing near every formation now. And they do have a nice ability that in a lot of these formations, the troops can run and then assault using their fleet. So it's basically old school fleet rules, but you cannot use that on turn 1. So you can't get that turn 1 assault off with them. But that is something that you get for it. But I just don't think it's worth the points, considering how squishy these guys are. Then you have your Serpent's Brood, which is 3 troops, 2 units of bikes, 3 of the transports, and 1 Void Reaver. The main thing you get with this one is your troops can jump out of the vehicle, assault, hit and run, and jump back into the vehicle, which that is pretty nasty. Doesn't leave you hanging, but of course you can't do it on the same turn, but still, as soon as you hit and run out of combat, you can jump into a vehicle and get the heck away. That's some, mad freedom. But with as expensive as troops are and squishy, I'm not sold. You have your cast of players, which is a troop, a death gesture, and a shadow seer as one group, all combined together, cannot split apart, which is great. In fact, this one has some promise. The only downside is you cannot fit them all in their transport. You can buy the transport, use it individually, but if you want to give these guys a transport, you're going to have to steal either an Eldar one or a Dark Eldar one. So I could definitely see using these as allies in a Dark Eldar army. Maybe throw some Kabalite warriors inside these guys' transport and throw these guys in the Raider. I could see some possibility there. The Shadow Seers got some great psychic abilities that might supplement the Dark Eldar's lack of psychers. So I definitely can see that one getting some use. Then you have the Jest, which is one troop, one unit of bikes, and one of the Void Weavers. This is the one I used in the battle report. It gives me almost one of everything. It's a fun one. Doesn't cost as many points as actually using the Force Org. Still gives you a little bit of play with these guys. I feel the bikes are too expensive. Other than that, this one's not a bad little formation. You have your Hero's Path, which is one of each character, but the trick with these is each of the characters, the Solitaire, Death Jester, and Shadow Seer, all get Shrouded and Stealth, but they cannot join any units and no character can join them. So they have to completely work as independent characters, which the Solitaire does anyways. That's not a big deal. But the other two are a little squishy be out on their own. But I could see the Shadow Seer hanging out in the back, using its psychic abilities to buff other units. Give the Death Gesture a good perch someplace, let him just sit and provide support cover. And use the Solitaire as the assassin he is. This is what I used in that game, and it was okay. I mean, I made a poor choice and lost my Death Jester and Shadow Seer early, but that was my bad, not the formation. So I could see this as a cheap way well, not cheap, but the cheapest way to get a Corsair or some psychic support for your Dark Eldar. Then you have Faltru's Blade, which gets you 2 units of the bikes and 1 unit of the Void Weavers. I would never use this formation. The bikes are too expensive. I'd rather just get them Eldar bikes with scatter lasers or shuriken cannons for half the price and the same amount of DACA. I mean, yeah, they only get 1 wound each compared to these, but you get 2 Eldar bikes, both with shuriken cannon or scatter laser, compared to just 1 of these bikes with a shuriken cannon. So in the long run, yeah, these bikes I just don't think are worth the points they're asking for them. And once again, the heavy support, the Star Weavers, I could see them as being useful against mass infantry troops, Gaunts, Orcs, Imperial Guardsmen, things like that. But against Space Marines or anti-armor, they just don't have it, to my opinion. Oh, and these guys get to reroll failed Jink saves, where if they're jinking, they're losing most of their accuracy and effectiveness. So that's tongue-in-cheek reward for taking that formation. And that's the only way you can use the Harlequins. So I think that's my biggest concern with them, is they are so limited on how you can use them. They do not have an HQ, so you can't even use an allied detachment or a CAD with them. So my overall impression is, for fun games, something different, or maybe some allies to your Dark Eldar, I could see definitely using these. I think I will probably be using mine primarily just for fun games, just to do something different. But I don't see them being part of my regular army, and I really don't see me investing the finances into them to create an army on their own. I just don't think they'll be able to hold their own. These guys are, I think, meant to be an allied, and I think that's what they'll work best as. So that's my opinion. If you have more to add, feel free. I didn't really go over their special abilities, their special equipment, because none except for the mask I mentioned for the Shadow Seer that drops leadership did I find really worth it. All the other relics are just kind of meh at best. So anything else I miss, please feel free to put in the comments section. If you have any questions, let me know. I appreciate your time. If you like, subscribe. Thank you very much.